David Pollack says on ESPN last night, right next to Nick Saban, that Georgia is now the top dog in college football. And Nick Saban's reaction was, you could just kind of see him drop his head and, whatever. But I disagree. I still think Alabama is the top dog in college football. They've been playing this college football playoff since 2014. There have been 9 college football playoff national championship games. Alabama has played in 6 of the 9. They have won 3 of those games. Should have, might have, and I know we'll never know, but last year they were leading at halftime when Jamison Williams got hurt.
True.
And they probably win that game if Jamison Williams doesn't get hurt. And I know you could say ifs and buts or candy and nuts or whatever you want to say, but I think they win last year's game if it wasn't for that injury. Georgia was a field goal away at the stroke of midnight from not even being involved in the championship game. This year, Alabama lost 2 games on the final play of the season.
And they almost
final
lost
play
4
of the game on the road.
There's a lot of ifs in here.
I understand. What I'm trying to tell you is Alabama ain't going nowhere.
I didn't say they are left, but they're just not number 1 anymore. What have you done for me lately? Well, Georgia lately has 2 back-to-back national championships, while Alabama has 2 losses this year. And you said they almost were undefeated. They almost have 4 losses this year.
Because of the elongated period of success that Alabama has had over the last decade and a half, really. Decade. Let's just call it decade.
Right.
I got to see it for one more year. I want to see what happens to Alabama next year because, again, Alabama has the number 1 recruiting class in the country.
Georgia has the second.
Okay. Alabama is the odds-on favorite to win the national championship again next year. So
that's because they give it to them every year. Georgia won last year and they gave it to Alabama.
Let me just play this thing out next year. Let me just play it out.
Don't want to put the odds up?
Humor me, please.
Yeah.
If Alabama wins the national championship next year, who's on top of the college football world?
Alabama.
So is it just whoever the national championship is?
Alabama has won back-to-back titles last year and this year. They're
Georgia, you're saying?
I mean Georgia. They're one of 5 teams to do that in the modern era, and they won back-to-back. Yeah, Nick Saban did it too. Years ago, what have you done for me lately? They're back-to-back national championships. They lost 17 picks last year in the NFL draft. 6 of them who went in the first round. They still won the national championship. They're still loaded, much like Alabama. The only pushback I would have is I don't know who either one of their quarterbacks is because the quarterback for Alabama, not a big fan of his. Like he didn't look like he had any. He had too much arm strength. I don't know if I like him. I don't know who Georgia's quarterback is. That'd be the only thing that I would be nervous about. Who's the quarterback if I was Georgia? But it doesn't matter because the way their system is built. Did you see what happened? And that was TCU, but TCU was a top 4 team based on the rankings or whatever. You saw what happened once the second and third stringers got in. Halfway through the third, they balled as well. They're also 5-star guys. So I think you got to give it to Georgia for the simple fact they're back-to-back national titles. And along the way, they did beat Alabama. Don't sleep on LSU, too, and Brian Kelly.